Biden campaign says Wednesday's impeachment inquiry vote was a big boost for campaign fundraising. An email from Vice President Kamala Harris pitched donors for support, writing that Republicans are, quote, going to throw everything they have at Joe because they know they can't run against our record. And by the way, they don't have a record to run on. And if you don't believe me, just ask Chip Roy, who screamed in an empty chamber, "We've done nothing. We've done nothing," he said of the House Republicans. The Biden campaign called the email the best performing fundraising pitch of the cycle for the vice president. Let's bring in the editor of the New Republic, Michael Tomasky. He's writing about this now, and he joins us with this new piece. This impeachment will do more to reelect Biden than anything Biden could do himself. And Michael, I could tell him that. I could tell him that. We impeached Bill Clinton back in the 1990s, and his approval rating spiked into the 60s. Impeachment always backfires, and it backfires especially when these House Republicans don't even know why they're impeaching him.
There's no evidence. I mean, let's stipulate that maybe they're sitting on something that they haven't told us about yet, okay? Just to say that and get that out of the way. But, Joe, there's no evidence. We've been watching them for nearly a year now since they've had control of the House of Representatives try to hold these hearings, Comer and Jordan. It's been like a Marx Brothers movie. Their own witnesses contradicting their claims and so on and so forth. So, you know, it's been ridiculous so far. And, yeah, I'm not surprised at that spike in fundraising. And this is why I argue that it's going to help Biden. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people are saying this. It will energize the base in a lot of ways that isn't very energized right now, obviously. And number two, who do we say all the time this election is going to come down to? Fewer than 100,000 swing voters in 6 or 7 states. If they end up shooting blanks on this the way most of us suspect they will, are those swing voters going to be persuaded? They're just going to think that they wasted all this money and all this time. And meanwhile, a Congress that has only enacted 12 bills into law and has done nothing, this is their priority. It's Christmas for Biden. Yeah.
Hey, Michael, I have a question for you, but first I wanted to say one short thing about the previous discussion, which I listened to with great interest, and that is Eddie said we have forgotten how to disagree. We have forgotten to have a conversation about things in which we disagree, and that's often true in Washington. But I have to say the discussion that Eddie and Joe had was an example of the reverse. This is an issue about which they both feel strongly. It's complicated, it's inflammatory, and you managed to have a discussion about it, which each side got their say and maybe had a little bit of an effect on the perspective of the other. So putting that aside, Michael, to go to your piece, do you think the House Republicans inevitably will approve articles of impeachment when this inquiry is over?
Not clear, Susan. A good question. As I point out in the piece, there are 17 Republicans in the House. There used to be 18, but Mr. Santos is gone. There are 17 Republicans in the House of Representatives who represent districts where Joe Biden beat Donald Trump. Many of those handily, not by 2 or 3 points, by 12 or 13 points. They did vote for this vote the other day to begin the proceeding, but will they vote articles through? That's a really good question. You know, and if they don't even do that, if Speaker Johnson can't get that done, then boy, that's really embarrassing for the Republicans. And here comes another motion to vacate, probably.
Michael Sharpton here. When you look at the energizing of the base voters that President Biden needs, do you feel that not only the fact that they're trying to impeach him, but the fact that they seem to be painting with a broad brush his son's indictment, implying, or in some cases outright saying, that Biden was involved? Do you see, I remember we saw this when they went after Bill Clinton, and it really drove a lot of people to Bill Clinton's side, that they felt the unfairness was there. Are you seeing this kind of possible current if the Democrats and those that will be supporting Democrats use this in a way to go to the base and talk about this? It's not just going to happen on its own.
Yeah, they do have to use it. They do have to exploit it and talk about it and make a big deal of it. You know, we have to see how it plays out, Al. I mean, as Susan's question suggested, They might not even advance articles and send them over to the Senate. But if they do, and there's a Senate trial, and it drags out into next fall, and Joe Biden is acquitted handily, as he certainly will be in the Senate, I can't picture, I mean, it's just impossible that there would be 67 votes to remove him from office.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I think it could, the timing of it could be just great for the Biden campaign.
You know, Michael, stack that up with a strong economy,
Yeah.
3 rate cuts next year.
Yeah.
The fact that you have a radical House Speaker who is professing himself to be everything from Moses to Jesus's called speaker to you name it. And then the House Republicans doing absolutely nothing, as Chip Roy said. I mean, this is lining up. I'm sorry. I know Democrats like to be negative. I think this is lining up extraordinarily well for Joe Biden next year.
It's hard for a lot of Democrats and liberals to come around to that point of view right now, but I see what you're saying. And of the things you ticked off, Joe, I think the most important by far was your mention of the Fed and the rate reductions next year, and what Jerome Powell said the other day. That was a momentous piece of news this week, I think. And if we really do get back down to 2% inflation without hitting a recession, and memories of the bad inflation fade in voters' minds, then I think we'll start to see finally some of the good attached to Biden. I was watching your segment with Donnie Deutsch earlier today, where everything bad sticks to Biden and everything good sticks to Trump.
Yeah.
We may see that flip.
But, and Michael, you'll remember 1983 as well. Ronald Reagan,
Yeah.
horrible economy, 35% approval rating. The next year, Morning America, he wins with 49 states. Editor of the New Republic, Michael Tomasky. As always, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.